Hey MotoAmerica fans, this is Cam Peterson. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the MotoAmerica YouTube channel for more coverage. Also like and comment.
AMA-FIM North American Road Race Championship from Virginia International Raceway in Alton, Virginia. It's round 2 of 9 for 2021 at the MotoAmerica Superbikes at Virginia. Mother Nature must be a big fan of MotoAmerica racing because it is a spectacular day to get race action underway. Hello everyone and welcome to the SportbikeTrackGear.com Junior Cup class. I'm Greg White standing alongside two-time champ Jason Pridmore. And Jason, as we left Road Atlanta round number 1, one rider, a young rider, Ty Scott, really caught our attention.
Well, we heard the hype coming into Road Atlanta about how good this young man was. He was the only rider to show up on a KTM, Greg, and to his own credit, he said, I wasn't sure how we were going to do on this bike compared to the competition. Well, all he did was go out in that first race, win the very first one of his career with MotoAmerica, and then he backs it up in race 2, battling at the front the whole time. Ben Glotty was able to get that victory, but when you listen to what Ty Scott had to say in the podium afterwards, he just wants to get as many points as he could, and as usual, it was a dogfight between 6-7 guys, and you can see how close they came across the line. This young man this morning went out and got pole position here at VIR as well.
15 years old from Pennsylvania, already with a ton of experience over in Europe, just comes to the racetrack with extreme maturity. He's a lot of fun to watch, and from pole position, it's going to be interesting to see what he can do. And how about this young rider, Joe Lamandry Jr.? He's getting after it. He's hoping to have a great VIR 1.
Back in our MotoAmerica Live booth, Robbie Floyd, Roger Hayden. We always have Jason Wygant running around. Again, he's filling in this week for Michael Hill. He jumps up here with me and you and having a good time this week. Glad you can be a part of it. For fans that are here on site, tell your friends, tell your family about it. You can come out tomorrow again. If you don't have a 2-day ticket, they can come out tomorrow, Roger. It's not all about one day. We do have a full show tomorrow as well.
That's a cool thing about coming to these MotoAmerica races. You get to see two races, and sometimes, you know, that the second day can be better. All these guys get after the first race, make a lot of changes and be better. And MotoAmerica, the cool thing is you can see how close, you can get close enough and see how fast all these riders are really going. On TV, doesn't really do it justice how fast all these guys are really going. And
another thing is, too, we start racing at 11:30 tomorrow, and we're done with our final race starts at 3:10 tomorrow. So you can be out of here 3:45, still get back, get to work. Kids finishing up their final week at school. Let's take a look at the standings. Speaking of kids going to school, some of these kids still going to school in the weekdays. You hear the 15-year-old of Ty Scott, Ben Glotty, young as well. Some doing some homeschooling, especially with the COVID, the way it's going. But right now, Ben Glotty with 45 points. He was the rider everybody was looking at coming into this year because he's on the same bike that Rocco Landers was. But Ty has really opened up some eyes.
He has. We've heard a lot about him, but we haven't seen him race. We knew Benjamin Glotty was fast. We've seen him last year, be on the podium a lot. And Tyler's been fast there, been fast this weekend.
Gus Rodeo, another young gun. And he was a small kid last year. He's a big man now. He's grown. Hey, we're going to send it over to the booth next to us. Let's get ready for some juniors coming up now.
Back here at Virginia International Raceway with a packed paddock and tons of fans here for this SportbikeTrackGear.com Junior Cup category, a category which allows riders, when they turn 14 years old, to come hang out. Our very own Hannah Lope had a chance to catch up with 2 new Junior Cup riders.
Greg, one of MotoAmerica's goals is to attract young talent to help them cultivate and develop their skills to eventually move on to larger displacement bikes and wherever their goals may take them. One new face in the paddock this season, making his MotoAmerica debut at Road Atlanta in round 1, is Avery Dreyer. How was your first race weekend, Avery?
Yeah, overall it was a pretty solid weekend. I had a great bike under me, and we're a rookie to the MotoAmerica paddock, so we had to work out a few problems, but qualifying went well. We qualified P7, and unfortunately we had a crash in race 1, but we pulled the bike back together, we got going again, and we ended up P10 in race 2. I had a good battle with Max Van and Hayden McNeese, but I want to thank my team, PDR Motorsports, for everything they've done, and I'm looking forward to racing this weekend.
Well, best of luck out there, Avery. Another new face on the paddock making his MotoAmerica debut this weekend is Keegan Brown. Keegan turned 14 on Sunday at Road Atlanta. Keegan, what are your expectations for your first ever professional race weekend in our series?
Well, I'd like to go out and do well, but mainly this whole season is about going out and learn the tracks and learn the people. But yeah, we had a couple setbacks this morning, but we're making some changes, and I'm learning a lot. So I hope to go out and do well and mainly learn the track and learn the people.
Well, welcome to MotoAmerica, and good luck this season. Greg?
Jason, cool to see those two young riders.
It's great to see them both. And Avery did have a big accident in Atlanta coming out of turn 7, and we were really happy to see him get back up, put a result up the second day. And for Keegan, this is going to be all about learning this weekend for him.
Tons of fun here at Virginia International Raceway for this class, Jason. 2.25 miles long and tons of corners.
Yeah, and you're going to see a lot of drafting down this front straightaway from these Junior Cup riders. It's going to be 4 or 5 wide as they break down into turn 1. Gets a little one line through 3, 4, 5, 6, but it's still a lot of fun, that area. Down to the next best break-in spot, which is going to be down in turn 7, up a big steep hill along the ridge. Then when we get to turn 10, Greg, it's all downhill from there before they come out of turn 13 and again get back into that big drafting war on the front straightaway.
Definitely a rider and fan favorite. How about this guy, Ben Glotty, hoping to duplicate a win here at VIR. Can he get it done? We're going to find out.
Hello everyone, Jason Wygant here. Really happy to be a part of MotoAmerica and MotoAmerica Live Plus this weekend. For me, I cover a lot of different motorcycle racing throughout this industry, and everybody's always looking for a status report and a checkup. And I really feel that people are rooting for American road racing to find its way, or as they say in the MotoAmerica Inside Show, the pressure to rise. There was a time absolutely where American road racing, I'd say, was up there at the very top of the list of any motorcycle racing in the world. Everybody in this industry has had their tough times, but lately we have seen great signs. And what I picked up from the atmosphere, both hanging out in Atlanta and working here this weekend in Virginia, more entries, more spectators, more hype, more buzz, more excitement. But there's still a great camaraderie, I think, that comes with a group that's had to face the dark times as well. So I applaud everybody for working closely with me to get me up to speed on this sport, to kind of have that tight-knit feel. But at the same time, things appear to be on the horizon. It's going to be a lot bigger in the future. And a lot of it starts with this junior class with a lot of great young talent. Really fun to watch, but also a lot of great personalities. So really fun to be here as a part of MotoAmerica. Now, as far as this class specifically, you look at the ages, we'll tease it every weekend on this show. You have to be 14 to race in this class, and they know that there are a lot of 13-year-olds just itching for that birthday to get a shot and race in this series. So as American road racing is kind of on that rebuild and that rise, getting the young talent hooked early on motorcycles is key from a racing standpoint, and the entire industry feels that way as well. So whether it be road racing or flat track or motocross or supercross or anything that I cover, everybody has a feeling, hey, we've been lucky, bike sales are up, the amount of participants are up, the amount of spectators are up. It's a really good time to be part of this. Really been fun hanging out with MotoAmerica this weekend here in VIR.
Today's STG Junior Cup coverage is sponsored by SportbikeTrackGear.com, the motorcycle apparel and parts specialists. And in part by Geico Motorcycle. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on your car or motorcycle insurance. And Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series.
Welcome back to Virginia International Raceway as riders are on their warm-up lap. Take a look at that starting grid, Jason. Tyler Scott on pole, 136.828.
Joe Lamandry in second, and a great qualifying for Jack Roach, their third on that R3. Maxwell Toth, Cody Wyman, and Max Vandenbroek on row 2. Row number 3, Gus Rodeo, Benjamin Glotty, Eli Block, then Kolstedt, Blake Davis, and Chase Black. And the last couple rows, Aiden Tower, Hayden Bickneys, Avery Dreyer, who we heard from earlier, Cale Essman, Alex Ricci, and Keegan Brown.
Keegan Brown making his debut here in MotoAmerica just having turned 14 years old. So Tyler Scott on the KTM looking really strong. And how about Jack Roach?
Big effort from him this morning in qualifying. He jumped up. I was watching that session pretty closely, and he was able to take advantage of the draft and then be fast in Sector 2. Looked really fast for him this morning, and I talked to him a little bit after that, and he says, man, if I can just get in that draft early and try to stay there, that's what I got to try to do for the race.
So it's time to get things going in the SportbikeTrackGear.com Junior Cup race number 1 from Virginia International Raceway. Riders are all set at the line. We're looking for those red lights in the upper left-hand corner. Clutches are dropped, and we're away to turn number 1. You can hear people bouncing rev limiters. But Tyler Scott didn't get a great launch, but now the KTM is finding its legs. They're 6 wide into turn number 1. Not a lot of real estate there. Bouncing and bobbing off each other.
Ben Glotty, Greg, he got such a tremendous jump. He came from row number 3. I believe that's him. We'll have to get it double checked, but
yeah, 72, Ben Glotty.
Yeah, I mean, that was from the 3rd row. He was in a tuck so early and got such a great start, and he just jams himself up the inside of everybody going down into turn number 1. Quickly in second, Maxwell Toth jumps himself right to the spot. Looks like Tyler Scott is way back.
Oh.
It's Jack Roach running off the track in what would have been turn 5, I believe, area. So Jack Roach off the track there. But it looked like Tyler Scott was way back, Greg.
Yeah, I wonder what happened there. Some bumping and grinding and people finding some room. So looking for that KTM He's buried back there in about 8th spot. And look who's just getting away.
Just gone. You know, it was interesting because it looked like Maxwell Toth maybe had a little bit of, like he ran over the inside curbing in one of our shots there is what it looked like to me, possibly. Now, I'm not sure if that created a little bit of a gap. Cody Wyman now, though, has taken up to the charge to get himself up into second. He said he's slowly getting more comfortable on this bike. A little bit different than the R3 that he rode last year. So he's still trying to get comfortable. He told me he's about 75% comfortable on this thing. Knows that they still got some work to do. And but he's got himself in second. But Ben Glotty has done the hard work. It couldn't be any better of a start, couldn't be any better of a first turn and a first lap. As he comes across the line, Greg, he's going to have almost a second lead.
Looks like a pass up the inside. 29 is David Kolstad. So he gets by Wyman on the 34, but up the inside goes the 62 of Joseph Lamandry Jr. So these SportbikeTrackGear.com Junior Cup riders fanning out all over the racetrack. Everybody trying to find a way to go catch Ben Glotty. But Jason, as we know in racing, passing each other and passing back is not the way to reel anyone in.
Well, at this place here especially, we've only got one kind of big straightaway that these guys can draft and redraft. That's the front straightaway. And now they're coming up to probably obviously the second biggest straightaway. Lamandry Jr. is taking the fight, and I'm looking to see if he's closed that gap down. Our first split will come up. They were indeed 1 second behind. You can see Joe tapping the back of the bike. We've seen a lot of that. 29 though, David Kolstad, he was another one that came from a little bit further back, Greg, and got a good start. He was 4th row, and we saw him on the podium there at Road Atlanta. But these guys are slowly starting to creep back up to the back end of Glotty. You can see that gap doesn't look quite as big as it did when they came across the line.
You can hear those 400cc motorcycles downshifting, these Ninja 400s. A lot of them in the class. Yamaha YZF R3 for a couple of them, and then of course that KTM as we're looking towards the back to find out where our lone KTM Tyler Scott is. Last time by the stripe, he was in 8th spot, losing some ground. So here we are in the front straightaway. They've closed the leader in ever so slightly as Ben Glotty comes across the line. His lead has been halved from 1 second down to just over 0.4 seconds. So Jay, with what you're saying, that one straightaway, but boy, when you have 2 or 3 riders drafting past you, it's really difficult for Ben Glotty to push his own air and get out front. But the fastest rider on track back in 6th place is Tyler Scott at 1:36.9 on the KTM.
And he's going to see that Ben hasn't gotten away, so he's behind these 5 other riders now. Like you say, Greg, running in 6th place, fastest lap of the race. Got Gus Rodeo right behind him. But these guys now have closed that gap completely. This is going to allow Tyler Scott to kind of just dictate where he wants to be, how he wants to go through these guys. 12-lap race. And he'll probably get by 1 at a time if he can down that straightaway. You see Kolstad looks like he's close enough, but not quite to go up the underneath Glotty. But man, Glotty just put in such a great first lap, but it was so short-lived. It looked, Greg, like he was just going to run away with it.
Yeah, but the one thing about Ben Glotty, too, is, all right, they've reeled him in, they've worked as a team, but now what happens? Because he's really difficult to pass here, but it's that feeling that you get. Is he a sitting duck on this straightaway? Oh, up the inside. A big move by the 62 Lamandry Jr.
Does a nice job there.
Nice and smooth.
Yep, just was able to let go of the lever, get up underneath. Now he'll be the first one that's going to try to draft by Ben Glotty as they come out of this last corner. And like you say, Ben's one of the bigger guys in the class, so he's going to be putting out maybe a little bit bigger draft than some of the others. And you can see now already Kolstedt goes by Lamandry Jr. He gets himself up underneath the 72, and it's going to be a late break and duel all the way down into turn 1. And Glotty's got the better. Lamandry's going to sneak himself back into second.
Ah, nice move by Lamandry Jr. to stay in touch with Ben Glotty, Hannah.
Greg, when I spoke with Joe, he was telling me he actually broke his left wrist testing at Roebling in February. He had 2 pins put in, but they were removed about a month ago. He feels really sore when he's riding, but it's not affecting his overall performance. As far as setup goes, the bike is great. His intention is really to just focus on his own lines and his own riding, but he knows he has the pace to stay up front and hopefully pull off a potential win.
All right, the Boss Racing Cyber Safe Solutions JL62 Racing Ninja 400 of Joe Lamandry Jr. out of New York. His eyes are set on the win.
Yeah, and you can see the dust on the right side of Kolstedt's tire. That's where that dirt came from. Looked like he maybe just got on the right-hand side of the track there as Maxwell Toth now gets himself up into third. Joe Lamandry Jr., that must have been the reason maybe we didn't see him possibly in Atlanta with that broken wrist. So we've seen him running up front towards the end of last year doing a nice job as he looks to go up underneath Glotty.
Oh, boy, that wrist not bothering him right now. So there goes Lamandry Jr. to the lead. The 62 gets around the 72. Now what's Glotty going to do? In third spot, Max Toth. And Jason, Max Van is kind of sniffing around there in the back of this group as well, trying to latch on in 8th place.
He certainly is. Max Van up, just trying to close up on the back of these guys. And look at this drafting war. This is what I was talking about pre-show. You're going to get 4-5 wide as they come across the stripe. And looking out my commentary box, you're exactly right, Greg. The 48 is on the charge coming forward right now. Glotty's going to lead the way back down into there. You can see Ty Scott looks like he's making a big jump there. Still rolling in 5th and 6th. Ty Scott is just literally, it looks like to me, he realizes how long this race is going to be. These guys are hammering on each other up at the front right now, and he can kind of control where he wants to be, as is Gus Rodeo.
Yeah, Jay, Kolstedt was really deep into one, and the bike started to twitch around. Here's a pass from earlier on the left part of your screen, right side of your screen are live pictures.
Yeah, and you look at Lamandry Jr. very comfortable on the top of the hill before you'd make this tight right and head back down the hill that takes you back to start-finish line. We've seen him make a couple passes up there. A lot of confidence in the front of that bike, so it definitely, when you have that kind of feel, and you can go by guys there comfortably, that's something that you got to put in your back pocket for the remainder of the race now. Cody Wyman's got himself back up into 4th as well.
So Ben Glotty tries to pull the pin again, but this field reels him back in, and it's going to be another front straightaway duel here in SportbikeTrackGear.com Junior Cup Racing. What a field of riders we have all going for these podium spots. For Ben Glotty, gets his first win last time we were on the racetrack. So here we go. Onto the front straightaway. Pit board's out, giving Ben information he needs as they fan out. 5 wide heading into turn number 1. Everybody looking for some real estate. The 34 of Wyman goes right to the front. So how about Cody Wyman out of nowhere? He's going to take the lead. Can he hold on to it? So what a way to utilize the draft and pass.
We've seen Cody, like we said, last year on that R3, and he was telling me, he says, Jace, he's like, it's just to the point where when I'm trying to release the lever, I don't have quite the confidence yet to just let the lever go. And so we talked a little bit about that, and he says, we're just going to keep chipping away. We'll put the race laps under our belt today to see how the bike feels. And when you get around other riders, you can see if there's any kind of similarities in the problems that they might be having. Maybe it's not a problem. Maybe it's more of a getting used to a new bike type of thing. So, but he's going to lead them through here on this full first section. Maxwell Toth now gets up to second with his teammate Kolstedt right behind Lemandry Jr. Now Glotti's been shoved back to fifth. Rodeo's gotten ahead of Ty Scott, and Max Van is on the back of this train.
Cody's really trying to get acquainted with this Kawasaki and get more comfortable on this motorcycle. He really wanted to get away from the pack. That was the goal for today's race. They made some changes yesterday to the chassis to make it more comfortable for him. They did have a mechanical issue in qualifying 2 this morning, but they got it sorted in time for the race. Cody actually hasn't been to VIR in 5 years, but that's obviously not holding him back. You know, he just didn't want to get shuffled too far back in this mix, knowing that they were going to be in a big group like this once again.
Yeah, the Kermoto rider leading, but here comes that front straightaway, so he'll fall victim to at least one rider. Max Toth now takes his spot at the point for the moment, but they are 5 wide on the brakes. Who's going to have the spot? It will be the 58 of Toth, but he's a little bit wide. Can his teammate go underneath him on the Veloce Racing Kawasaki Ninjas? No, not at least for the moment. David Kolstedt, number 29 there, and look at Wyman shuffled back to 4th spot. And this is what this Junior Cup Racing's all about.
Lemandry had a thought, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah, and by the way, Greg, the first 11 riders are separated by just 3 seconds. So it's not just Max Van trying to get on the back of this group. Behind him, Blake Davis, Eli Block, and Aiden Tao, they're all right there. You're going to see them in the back of our screen there. Everyone's just trying to get a little bit closer. If these guys keep fighting the way they're fighting at the front, you're going to see an 11-rider battle here in a minute.
This is absolutely frantic. SportbikeTrackGear.com, Junior Cup Racing. We're focused on this battle up front, who's leading the way, but you got to keep an eye back to another 10 positions because they're duking it out. Is a pass going to happen here at the top of the hill? No. Absolutely berserk as you're looking at Tyler Scott sitting there back in what seems like such a far way away, Jason, because for a guy like Tyler Scott in 7th place, there's so many riders to navigate through.
There is. You just got to be smart. You can see that's exactly what Rocco's telling Ben Glotty right now. Use your head the best that you can. And you're going to see they're all going to fan out again. I think Tyler Scott, to be honest with you, is kind of chilling a little bit there myself. I think he's using his head, and you saw some blue smoke there. Didn't you? Saw the same thing I did, Greg?
I did, yeah. I don't know if that was more like maybe a locked up rear brake, perhaps.
Or a boot, even.
Or a boot for the 48.
Yeah, and you
Max,
can see Cody
Max
Wyman
Van
now has found his way back to the front. The hardest thing about this, and Glotty gets himself back up to 3rd, is you don't want to get shuffled back. Lemandry Jr. looks like he goes up underneath Max Toth, and now he's trying to go up, or sorry, went under Kolstedt. Now he was trying to go underneath Toth. The problem is when you start getting shuffled back, you know it's just going to be that much harder work to get back up to the front. So that's why you see guys like Glotty and Cody Wyman there just continuously trying to stay up in that front group. But look, it's getting even closer. How about 9th place Blake Davis now with the fastest lap of the race at a 36.9. So all this group is just getting tighter and tighter as the race goes on. And we saw in Atlanta, the KTM looked like it had some speed, especially off the corners.
Yeah.
And the Cowies looked like they would kind of reel back in towards the end of the straight. And right now, it doesn't look like Tyler Scott's able to draft these guys much.
No, by the way, back there in 9th spot, the 22 of Blake Davis set the fastest lap of the race, a 136.9. So Davis on the move as well. This is some race. Blake Davis on that N2 Racing Yamaha R3 getting after it. His home race here in Virginia. He's from Lynchburg. So Davis looking to do something.
So
down into turn 1, Jason.
Yeah, here you go again. Lemandry Jr. is on the far inside. This is where Glotty came from when he took the lead at the start of the race. Now he's got himself back up to the front. And you saw the pit board. Lemandry Jr. goes down. Looks like it's Max Toth that goes with him. Just caught the front wheel and goes down with Lemandry Jr. Max Toth's had some tough luck so far this year, trying to get that brake lever better and get going again if he can. But that's just a simple little front end tuck. You saw Lemandry Jr. trying to go up underneath the inside of Glotty. Wasn't able to make it.
Yeah, so the 58 of Max Toth out of California on that Veloce Racing machine, trying to get that thing rolling. Corner workers coming out to clean up the mess. And we'll see if Toth's able to get back going. Just trying to get back on the racetrack and possibly score some points. If nothing else, just learn some things.
A little bit late, but you can see that LeMandry Jr. just simply tucked the front. We've seen that so many times in the past. You just, not from him obviously, but from other riders, where you get in there, you lose the front, and Maxwell Toth almost missed it, but it just caught his front end and just knocked it away. So he's not going to be able to get that bike started, doesn't look like. But back up at the front now, you're going to be looking at, looks like Gus Rodeo's made his way all the way up to second spot behind Ben Gloddy, and then Cody Wyman and Kolstedt. So Ty Scott was able to miss that as well. It could have been a lot more riders going down. Kolstedt now trying to draft Cody Wyman there in third. And Gus Rodeo wants to lead this race.
So Gus Rodeo, the number 96 out of New Jersey on the Rodeo Racing Kawasaki Ninja 400. Tries to take over the lead, but it's going to be Wyman up the inside on the 34 on the Kermoto Kawasaki. So he'll take the spot for the moment. Look how tight this racing is. Not a lot of room to work for these riders. But, Jay, also a good reason why you want to be leading the race. You don't want to get caught up in somebody else's mistake.
That's right.
And that mistake really has caused some riders to fall back a little bit. So the work to be done by those like Blake Davis, Eli Block, Aiden Tao back there, all to do it again. Got to take evasive action when you see someone go down. Make sure you're not collected.
The hardest part is when you lose any momentum. If you're any of those guys behind that had to check up and you lose that little bit of momentum, it's hard to make that time back up. And Blake Davis is back there in seventh, and he's trying to make that back up again. Fastest split of the race so far goes on this lap to the 48 of Max Van. Gets him saying he might have been one of those guys, Greg, that had to check up a little bit. Now he's trying to get back on the back of these guys. You see him back there on the blue bike.
Yeah, so Cody Wyman leading the way in the 34. That's the green and black machine. And then you have Gus Rodeo with those eyeballs staring you down on that red Kawasaki. Then the white and red machine,
Kolstedt.
David Kolstedt, and then Ben Gloddy. Now here's a look at Cody Wyman's race pace so far. You can see his fastest lap on lap 7. A 1:36.9 by Blake Davis back on lap 7 as well. So lap 7, a fast one. 1:36.8 was pole by Tyler Scott. And so we kind of thought, Jason, where's Cody going?
Just
right to the lead.
Out. Yes, he is. So Cody obviously feels pretty good on the brakes on this bike. And that's what he was talking about, though, is he said, I have trouble letting go of the lever. I can get in there pretty deep. Letting go of the lever is another thing. And he got in there pretty fast. And you can see it took him a while, and he's still trying to go up underneath Kolstedt there. Thinks better of that. Kolstedt now takes his shot at the front. All the while, the number 70, Greg, is just sitting there watching this battle. Our points leader watching these 4 or 5 guys in front of him do battle.
Yeah, he's not giving him anything, so he's just around hanging out is Ty Scott watching these battles up front. But this is kind of the dangerous part. If someone gets possibly a clean lap, I mean, there's only a lap and a half to go in this race as Ben Gloddy tried to make the move underneath up the hill, but Wyman holds on to it. Rodeo still hanging there, and
these races go by so quick because there's just so much action going on, especially at the front. We've still got 7-8 riders right now, all within 2 seconds of each other. And Gloddy looking up the inside. Look at this. Tyler Scott now. It looked like he was trying to go up underneath Rodeo.
But there was no room. That was the whole thing. Rodeo was trying to find his own battle up front and kind of pinched him off. So here's the windup for the final lap of this race. Who you putting your money on, folks, because this is anybody's ball game.
Gloddy's in such a good spot, though. If he can draft Wyman, we know how strong he is into turn 1. If he can get up alongside, draft him, and pull that along to Kolstedt, they're going to go across the line all side by side now. You see Ty Scott on the inside. Gus Rodeo's swinging to the outside, and Gloddy's going to try to outbreak them all, but he's not going to be able to. Wyman does a good job getting into turn 1 first. Now let's see if he can hold it tight enough to hold these guys back. He is. Kolstedt and Gloddy get really close.
Let's see if Ty Scott can use that slender KTM to his advantage. So Wyman's leading the way. Your points leader in 4th spot. Ben Gloddy trying to make it 2 in a row in SportbikeTrackGear.com Junior Cup. It's so tight to these top 6. Any disaster, and all of a sudden, Max Van
is going to be standing on the podium.
Cody just had to clean that section. Now he needs to move himself over to the right and make it to where these guys go down the outside. I love where he positioned himself. He made it impossible for anybody to go up underneath him. Now he's got to be able to keep that same thinking in line when he gets across this ridge and goes down into the turn 10 area. They're going to go through this right, this next left, then the track drops away from you as you go back to this right, Greg. Now he's got to be able to keep this number 34 over to the right-hand side of the seat.
There's a pass. Ty Scott got up the third spot. Where's everybody going? 4 wide. There is no real estate.
Wyman look wide.
Oh, so now what shuffling we have going on? Kolstad leads the way, but who put themselves in a better position as we come down the hill? It's all going to be about that long draft and pass to start finish line. The 29, David Kolstad leads the way. Ty Scott in the draft. There's Ben Glotty hung out in his own air as they come to the line. They're going to lean it over. Oh, no, it is Ben Glotty with the win by a 1/10 of a second on the draft and pass to the line. Kolstad in second, Tyler Scott in third, Cody Wyman fourth, Gus Rodeo fifth, Max Van in sixth, Eli Block in seventh, Blake Davis and Aiden Tao in ninth. How do you like that? 1/10 of a second, and just a couple hundredths behind was Tyler Scott.
How do you like the last 25 seconds of that race after all of that? So Cody Wyman looked like he got up into turn 10 a little deep and started to go a little wide. Kolstad jammed it up underneath him. And then that just started a chain reaction of things that were going on. And this guy, Ben Glotty, finds himself back at the top again.
Wow. All right, we're going to step away for a moment. We'll let your heart rate settle down, and we'll be back with winners from VIR.
Wow. Holy moly, great googly moogly. Robbie Floyd, Roger Hayden, we were on our seat's edge, especially going into 14 that final time. You've been watching Blake Davis. He was back there in 7th or 8th, and I said, Roger, he may win this race in 8th place right now because these guys are ready to clean each other out.
I mean, they were changing positions every lap going into turn 1, and you could tell it was kind of slowing each other up. But the lap before, you've seen a lot of guys already eyeballing up that move into into turn 14, and they went in there 4 wide. I don't know how they all made it out.
I honestly don't. I mean, and some were literally on that last 3 or 4 inches of tarmac before it turned to grass. Unbelievable. I thought Ben Glotty might have had the motor to drag race them down that straight. It looked a little he had a little more advantage than I thought there, but you had to get to that final straight to even have a chance. And I didn't see any way all those guys were going to make it through.
I think, too, with Ben Glotty, his experience came through at the end of that race. Put himself in the right spot to make the right moves in the last lap. And even talking, we mentioned it halfway, through that last lap, if all those guys were going to finish, because we knew they were going to go for it. And his experience paid off, I think. And, it's good for him. Last year, he ran with those guys so much, and I think he learned from them, and now he's the guy.
We'll talk about that later. Let's talk about later.
Rocco Landers was the most pumped there. David Kolstad, I mean, I don't know. I mean, a kamikaze moved there a few times. I mean, dive bomb David. He wanted that win in a bad way. That was one guy that was not going to settle. He didn't want to settle for second. He didn't want to. He went from I'm 6th to 1st in literally a blink of an eye.
I mean, he made a lot of moves going into turn 14 the lap before, but also Tyler Scott had a really good last lap. He's 5th or 6th pretty much the whole race, and then the last lap he tried to put himself in the right spot and had a pretty good run and had a chance to maybe pull out of the draft and get the win, but just didn't have enough at the finish line.
Do you think he was hanging back a little bit and just kind of letting it all unfold? Because it looked like when he wanted to turn it on at the end, he showed the flickability of that bike, and it still had the power there. But I don't know if he felt like he could pull away, so he didn't want to try and get out.
I don't think that he did, but I think the hard part is when you're going to go try to make a pass into turn 1 and you're in 5th, well, they're 4 wide. Where are you going to go?
Yeah, right. Yeah, it was crazy there. Max Van, he was in the running too. It thought he might have had a shot. He's going to finish in 6th. The SportbikeTrackGear.com entry. Unfortunately, what it was, Joe Lamandry and Max Toth, they were in this running too, and they went off. Don't know which rider kind of was the one that went down first and got collected, but both of those guys, they should have been in this mix at the end. Just couldn't keep it on 2 wheels. It should be David Kolstad's best finish, I believe, last year looking back. I think he finished 4th at one round. Back at stop number 6, that would have been at Atlanta.
And then he got, last race he did really well also.
Yeah, Kolstad's definitely, moving his way up. Yeah, this year already a 3rd place finish as well as a 5th.
He was the guy at Atlanta said he was headed to the pool.
Yeah, that was our quote of the week. I'm impressed by Ben Glotty, too. You see the second he pulled off that helmet, it didn't look like he was breathing at all.
Didn't even break a sweat.
I mean, those are usually those races where you're holding your breath because you don't know what's going to happen. And, I mean, he looked pretty calm.
He tried to break away at the beginning, looked like. The first lap he pulled out to about a 2nd lead, and then those guys kind of brought him in. And then after that, with the draft, there was no way anybody was going to be able to separate themselves from the pack.
You see that Landers Racing entry. You saw Rocco Landers there giving him the congratulations. He looked just as happy as Ben Galati was. David Kolstad on the Veloci Racing Kawasaki. Going to be 2nd, Ty Scott. Scott Power Sports KTM. Everything he was cracked up to be, right? I mean, we've heard about him, and he's showing. And that bike's good, too. There's Rocco Landers looking on to the side after his Super Sport run today. He'll have another chance at it tomorrow. Already got a podium this year, looking for his first victory in 2021. See the fans. It looks like they're going to do a parade, I believe, today as well, right? Yep, parade laps starting this afternoon in a few minutes. But first we have Park for May, the victory podium, and the celebration for Ben Glotty, David Kolstad, and Tyler Scott, and also the points that go with those top.
Today's Junior Cup race coverage has been sponsored by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series.
Well, Jason, I mean, what can you say about this last 25 seconds of this race?
Unreal, and all the action was up at the top of turn 10. Cody Wyman looked like he got up in there just a little bit hot. Kolstad went underneath him, and then just chaos broke loose. And at the end of it all, Ben Glotty walks away with his 2nd win. And just like in Atlanta, we were worried, as you can see, team owner, crew chief, mechanic, everything else. Tony Landers really happy with his rider there. As Benjamin Glotty, Greg, going into Atlanta, hadn't won a race. Now he's got 2 on the trot. Kolstad ends up 2nd. Ty Scott ends up 3rd after running 6 most of that race. Wyman, Rodeo, Vandenbroek. Let's get down to Hannah.
Well, Greg, it's safe to say that the Landers Racing team knows a thing or two about how to put together a Junior Cup bike. With 2 championships on their resume already, it is now a 2nd career victory for Benjamin Glotty. Ben, you got shuffled back there. Tell me what you were able to learn in some of those laps that allowed you to make a move and fight your way to the front for today's victory.
Yeah, I mean, those last couple laps, I got shuffled back a little bit, and on that last lap, Cody ended up leading going into turn 1, and nobody wanted to pass him, honestly. So we kind of all stayed behind him for the whole lap, and I got a little swallowed up going down into turn 12, I think. I don't know where it is. And, yeah, I got a double draft to the line and was able to come out with the win, but I wouldn't have been able to do it without my whole Landers Racing crew, Mariah Helmets, American Super Camp, Tyrant CNC, REB Graphics, everybody else that helps me out, Evolve Technologies, REB Graphics, CJR Performance, Dunlop, everybody else that helps me out. Just thank you very much.
Congratulations, today's race winner, Benjamin Glotty.
So Ben Glotty gets it done 2 in a row, and boy, that switch to Landers Racing for Ben Glotty really seems to be the trick.
Well, there's a lot of experience there underneath that hat of Stoney Landers, so he got to do it with Rocco for many years, and you can see the experience is paying off and helping Ben a lot.
Let's get back down to Hannah with our 2nd place finisher.
Second place today goes to Veloce Racing's David Kolstad. David, a lot of trading positions there back and forth. What do you think it was that gave you the advantage to get to this second place spot?
Kind of get up in a cluster at the top of the hill, and I didn't really, it was kind of like a split choice decision. I didn't know if I should stick behind him and get the draft or just go for it. And my instinct just said go for it. You know, you did your best. You're not slowing up. You're giving it your all to the 100%. And I was glad that I got it to the line. But I couldn't have thanked everyone behind me: Veloce Racing, Arai Helmets, KFG Motorsports, Olin's, Two Wheel Dyno Works, and Vercoast Leathers, Arai Helmets. I can't thank everyone enough. It's a great feeling. I'm glad I'm back up here.
Congratulations, David Kolstad.
A great ride for him, Jason, and it was just mayhem. I mean, but he got to lead the race, and I think second place is a good spot for him to be in today.
Races like this, when strategy comes into play like that, when you can draft and redraft, there are times when you just have to say, you know what, I got to just try to take a shot here. And you know, the thing is that him taking the lead at the top of the hill almost secured himself a for sure third place at least. Let's get back down to Hannah with.
Third place today goes to KTM and Tyler Scott. Tyler, not quite the race start that you hoped for, but you managed your way to the podium. Take us through those last couple laps.
Yeah, thanks to KTM, Arai Helmets, and Bob Robbins, the bike handled really well throughout the whole race. I was kind of relaxing in the beginning, and then I looked up and there was 4 laps left, so I knew I need to make some moves to get to the front. And it came down to the last lap in turn 10, and I just couldn't get it at the line.
Well, congratulations on your third place finish. Guys?
I mean, it's, you know, you can hear the disappointment, but with everything that's going on, Jason, I think that him finding his way to the podium is pretty impressive.
Kind of said it looked like he was kind of cruising back there and trying to plan his race, but 3 races, 3 podiums, not going to hurt him at all, and he's going to move on to tomorrow and see if he can get a little better.
Championship point standings have Ben Glotty 9 points ahead of Tyler Scott. Kolstad in a solid third place. Cody Wyman with Gus Rodeo there as well. So we got some great battles going on early on in the 2021 MotoAmerica season here in the SportbikeTrackGear.com Junior Cup category with Ben Glotty on a run. That'll do it for this one. For Hannah Lope and Jason Pridmore, I am Greg White. Thanks so much for joining us. And here from VIR, we have another one. We're doing it again. That's coming up next.